Hello everyone, my name is Wang Jiyuan. The topic of my seminar today is Ironclad and Irrefutable Evidence, World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong's 10-year investigation on the Chinese Communist Party's state crime of live organ harvesting against an enormous number of Falun Gong practitioners. Many of you may have heard about this before, but maybe some of you don't have a systematic understanding of this important issue. So today, I'm systematically presenting to you the results of the World Organization's investigation of more than a decade. First, I'll tell you several stories. The first story was reported from Washington, D.C. by the CCP's official Xinhua Net on March 25, 2012. The former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney received a heart transplant on March 24, 2012, after being on a waiting list for nearly 2 years. We all know that the United States is currently the most advanced in terms of organ transplantation, with more than 120 million registered voluntary organ donors and a well-developed and extensive national donated organ deployment system. Even so, the former U.S. Vice President waited for nearly 2 years to complete the operation. Here is our second story. It took place on the other side of the planet, at the Shanghai First People's Hospital in mainland China. In 2003, Tan Jianming, director of the organ transplant department at the General Hospital of Fuzhou Military Region, performed a kidney transplantation operation for a Taiwanese patient at the Shanghai First People's Hospital. He used 8 kidneys over the course of 2 months. At first, he used 4 kidneys to perform the tests one by one, and all of them failed due to the patient's antibody rejection. Then the patient went back to Taiwan. After nearly 2 months, he came back. Another 4 kidneys were tested, and the 8th kidney was successfully matched. So Tan performed the transplant operation. Therefore, Tan Jianming used 8 kidneys for an ordinary patient at the Shanghai First People's Hospital in 2003. Let's take a look at the favorable conditions existing for organ transplantation in mainland China in 2003. Why were there so many organs available? There were hardly any reports of voluntary organ donations prior to year 2005 in mainland China, and there was no national organ deployment system before year 2013. Mainland China's online organ deployment system was established in March 2014. In other words, in 2003, no one in China was voluntarily donating his or her organ, and it was impossible to systematically distribute organs on a national scale. However, in terms of organ sources, there was a large gap between China and the United States. In the United States, a former vice president had to wait for 2 years, equivalent to around 100 weeks, for an organ. Whereas in mainland China, for an ordinary patient, his surgeon was able to obtain 8 kidneys during a span of 2 months. He would obtain 1 organ per week on average. The difference is astonishing. What happened in mainland China? Why would such a situation exist? Now let's look at the third story. A nurse who had escaped from a live organ harvesting hospital answered this question. On March 9, 2006, a nurse named Annie, who previously worked at Liaoning Thrombosis Treatment Center in Sujiatun, escaped to Washington, D.C., where she revealed the CCP's crime of live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners to the Chinese-language newspaper The Epoch Times. According to her, more than 6,000 Falun Gong practitioners were imprisoned in this hospital. Over the course of 2 years, from 2001 to 2003, Annie's ex-husband excised the corneas of approximately 2,000 practitioners with his own hands. Afterwards, their other organs were extracted by other surgeons. By the time when Annie and her ex-husband left the hospital, among the 6,000-plus Falun Gong practitioners, only approximately 2,000 were still remaining at the hospital. Now let's take a look at the video of her testimony. The Chinese-language media The Epoch Times and NTD-TV based in the United States reported 2 witnesses' testimonies. There existed a concentration camp where several thousand of Falun Gong practitioners were being held. The doctors there would extract organs from Falun Gong practitioners when they were still alive.
在做法轮功学院器官手术的一名脑外科医生，我在这里替他跟你们道歉。我曾经听我前夫说过，大多数的人他们都是身强力壮的，好多人还没有咽气，他们的器官就被摘除。被摘除后，有的人直接就丢在焚尸炉中，没有留下任何迹象。我的丈夫也曾经提出过不要做这种手术，但是那个时候，他自己也身不由己。
当时我们听到这个消息啊，感到十分的震惊。
When we heard this piece of news, we were very shocked and found this inconceivable and unbelievable. However, based on our many years of experience performing investigation into the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong practitioners, we treated this issue with a sensible mind. Although we were unsure of the existence of live organ harvesting, we couldn't deny it either. So we immediately started our investigation without having any notions. So we started our investigation on the night of March 9th, 2006. The first subject of our investigation was Liaoning Thrombosis Treatment Center. Subsequently, we began a comprehensive investigation into the major organ transplant hospitals and organ surgery centers across China. In the past decade, the targets of our investigation and evidence collection included 5 members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CCP Central Committee, 1 Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission, members of the Politburo, the Minister of National Defense, and the head of the Health Division at the General Logistics Department of the military. We've also conducted multiple rounds of research and analysis of several hundreds of thousands of media reports, medical papers, cached hospital web pages, and database materials on 891 hospitals and 9,519 doctors across China. And we've made major breakthroughs. We've published more than 70 investigative reports in succession, presenting more than 100 investigation recordings and several thousand pieces of data evidence. Now I'm going to systematically present to you the main contents of our 10-year investigation.
第一章是中国大陆1990
Chapter 1. After year 1999, China's organ transplant industry experienced an explosive growth. First, the number of hospitals performing liver transplant surgeries had increased dramatically from 19 prior to year 1999 to over 500 by April of 2006. There was an increase of 25-fold from 1999 to 2006. Let's take a look at this report from Sanlian Life Weekly, published on April 17, 2006. According to this report, the number of hospitals performing liver transplants increased dramatically to over 500 in mainland China. Second, according to official data, the annual liver transplant volume had increased by 180 times. According to a report published by the Chinese Liver Transplantation Registration website, on June 24, 2007, the cumulative total of liver transplants over a 20-year span prior to year 1999 was only 135 cases. During the 8 years from 1991 to 1998, Chinese hospitals performed a total of 78 cases of liver transplantation. By contrast, during the 8-year span from 1999 to 2006, an astronomical 14,085 cases of liver transplantation were carried out in mainland China. There was a difference of 180 times. It is unimaginable that, after the crime of organ harvesting from living Falun Gong practitioners was exposed in 2006, at a time when the CCP was accused of this crime and under close scrutiny from the international community, mainland China conducted at least 4,231 liver transplant operations between June 24, 2006 and June 24, 2007. This was 436 times of the annual average of 9.7 cases of liver transplant surgeries between 1991 and 1998. This was reported by the Chinese Liver Transplantation Registration website. Here, I would like to remind you that the numbers I just mentioned are only the official reported numbers from the CCP. According to our organization's investigation, the actual number of organ transplants is more than 10 times of this. I'm going to talk about another hospital. As an example, it is the Tianjin First Central Hospital, also known as the Orient Organ Transplant Center. After 1999, its liver transplantation volume increased by 300 times to over 3,000 times. The 300 times was officially reported, and over 3,000 times is what the World Organization deduced from analyzing the hospital's officially published data. Let's first talk about the 300 times which was mentioned in their official reports. Where was it reported? It was reported on the China Organ Transplantation website and the official website of the Orient Organ Transplant Center. In May 1994, the Tianjin First Central Hospital performed its first liver transplant operation. From 1994 to 1999, this hospital performed only 8 liver transplants. However, after 1999, it performed 507 liver transplants in 2004 alone. In 2005, it performed 647 cases of liver transplants. I haven't mentioned about the hospital's renal transplants. If we calculate based on this number, then it would equal to 300 times of the hospital's liver transplant quantity prior to year 1999. However, after we analyzed this figure, it appeared to be wrong. Why? According to the hospital's reports, by September 1, 2006, its organ transplant center's ward beds were increased to be over 500. The bed occupancy rate reached as high as 131.1%. The average length of hospital stay for a liver transplant patient in China is 25 to 30 days, with the longest being 1 month. Then, based on this information, one bed could accommodate one patient for 1 month. Then, in 1 month, 500 beds would accommodate at least 500 patients. Then how about in 1 year? It would be at least 6,000 people, right? So we take a conservative approach and estimate that the hospital would treat 5,000 organ recipients in 1 year. Let's say that this hospital performed liver transplants for 5,000 people in 2006. Then it would be over 3,000 times of the annual average of 1.6 cases prior to the year 1999. This shows what is called explosive growth. Taking this hospital as an example, before and after 1999, its liver transplant volume increased by several hundred times to several thousand times. Furthermore, since the year 2000, the unique organ transplant tourism has been gaining momentum in mainland China. According to a report published in the Sanlian Life Weekly magazine in 2004, in just a few years, tens of thousands of foreign organ transplant patients had started to travel to China, launching organ transplant tourism. These patients came from nearly 20 Asian countries and regions, including South Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Egypt, Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Why is this the case? First, the organ wait time in China is very short, just 1 to 2 weeks on average. Also, the organ prices are cheaper than those in other countries. Moreover, I want to tell you that the organs of Falun Gong practitioners have also been trafficked into Israel. In August 2007, 4 human organ traffickers were arrested in Israel. They clearly admitted that some of these organs were from Falun Gong practitioners. The newspaper that you see right now is the largest newspaper in Israel by circulation. Think about it. China's organ transplant industry, in the case of liver transplantation, increased by 180 times, 436 times, and over 3,000 times in a blink of an eye. And the organs used are from living human beings. Isn't this an explosive growth? This is an explosive growth. What a horrifying situation it is. Chapter 2. After the crime of organ harvesting from living Falun Gong practitioners was exposed in 2006, rush transplants also took place, and some hospitals even had promotions to offer free organs. The CCP's crime of organ harvesting from living Falun Gong practitioners in Sujiatun concentration camp was exposed on March 9, 2006. Facing the allegations of live organ harvesting by the international community, the CCP kept silent for 3 weeks. And the entire organ transplant industry in China also fell silent and stopped its activities. After 3 weeks, the Foreign Ministry spokesperson came forward and denied the existence of the Sujiatun concentration camp. Meanwhile, interim provisions to manage clinical applications of human organ transplant technologies was introduced. claiming that organ transplant hospitals would be screened for their qualifications starting from July 1st, 2006. After May 1st, 2007, unqualified hospitals could no longer perform organ transplants. The implication was that during the one-year period prior to May 2007, these hospitals could still perform such operations. After the introduction of the interim provisions, there emerged an upsurge of rushed organ transplants. During that period of time, major organ transplant centers and related organizations in China started to work overtime to perform organ transplants. Here I'll show you two examples. The first one is that on April 12, 2006, Jilin Heart Hospital advertised that for the first 5 heart transplants, they would charge only 50,000 yuan each. What's more shocking is that on April 28, 2006, Hunan People's Hospital advertised that the hospital was offering 20 free liver and kidney transplants. Think about it, 20 free liver and kidney transplants, including 10 liver transplants and 10 kidney transplants. Based on the current market prices, a kidney transplant would cost 50 to 60,000 yuan in mainland China, and a liver transplant would be 70 to 80,000 yuan. It was stated on their advertisement that they would offer 20 cases of organ transplantation for free. This advertisement that you see is the original advertisement published by Hunan People's Hospital. Also, there are some hospitals which can perform organ transplants on specific dates. The table that you see right now lists 20 hospitals which were randomly selected by us for investigation and admitted that they were using Falun Gong practitioners' organs. And these hospitals could also perform organ transplants on specific dates.
You can see these on our website. You can also download investigation recordings. You can also listen to them online.
Now I will play several phone recordings for you. Let's listen to them, as well as our analysis and conclusions based on our investigation at that time. Investigative subject, Dr. Dai from Shanghai General Hospital, date March 16, 2006.
你好，你是肝移植中心，它的号码是多少？转接中，请稍后。
喂，你好。
喂，你好。我现在有一个表妹啊，就是诊断的是丙型肝炎，已经18年了。但是现在
我跟你讲，你这个肝移植是可以的。
那我就问啊，要等多久？
工体有啊，天天有哎。
现在
我们今天就来做。
不是，你现在又不是说是有新鲜的、有活的人的，你这个
都是活的。
啊？
都是活的。
那你们这个做了多久了？我就想问一下，你们这个技术。
我们做了5、6年了，做4、5年、5、6年了。
那一个月能做多少？
做了4、5百一个月。
多少？4、500啊？
对，我们如果顺利的话。
要等多久？那我就这有了
等得久，我这个东西我也看这些行多少，天天我都有。一般一碰呢，有可能今天来了1个礼拜就给你做了。
有一种人啊，就是练功的那种啊，身体很好，他说那种啊好。
哎呦，你这我给你一下子这电话说不清楚哦。
我要能找到这种，我就很快就会来。
是的，可以的，来呀。
可以啊，
可以。
那我来怎么找你？你贵姓我？
我戴医生。
So everybody heard it. He said that all the donors they used were alive, and they had surgeries every day. Patients could have operations whenever they came to the hospital. The investigator inquired about organs from practitioners of Falun Dafa as donors, and this could be done too. And he also said that he could do 400 to 500 cases within a month. Let's listen to another recording. Investigative subject, a doctor at the Liver Transplant Center of Zhongshan Hospital, date March 16, 2006.
怎么了，先生？喂，你好，你是中山医院对，是的，病房肝脏移植中心吗？对，是的。我是要咨询一下。等会儿啊，我在医生。喂。喂，你好。你好，你是医生吗？这个移植手术啊。
那可以做的。
那要等多久啊？
你说1个礼拜左右就可以做了。
他有没有这种练这个法轮功的这种提供的这种？
这个我们都是这种。
This one clearly answered that all the organs were from Falun Gong practitioners. Here's the third recording. Investigative subject, a doctor from the Liver Transplant Center at Tianfoshan Hospital, date March 16, 2006.
你好，男主。你好，你是山东天福山医院肝脏移植中心病房吗？是，我想咨询一下。你稍等哈，我给你找个大夫哈。
你好。
你好，我想咨询一下，你们是做了多少年了？是不是也很
我们从02年开始做的。
哦，2002年到现在做现在提供这个提供这个肝的这个，一般就是在多长时间就能保持，多长时间就能？
就是说规定是12小时，我们还没有说超过12小时的呢。我们这个都时间查好了的，这是。
提供这个肝的这个有一种说是那种练那个法轮功的那种，我就问你说有没有？好，
您过来就行。
哦，就可以，就是说有啊。
您这样吧，您过来那个反正4月份肯定会比较多的这样的供体，现在就供体逐渐多起来了。
4月份为什么多起来？
这个我没法跟你说这个。
这不好。
因为这牵扯到不是说这些没必要，就是说跟你解释这个问题。
Investigative subject, a nurse from the Urological Surgery Department at Wuhan Tongji Hospital, dates March 30th, 2006.
喂，请问是武汉同济医院吗？
对。
是泌尿外科吗？我是对要问那个做肾移植。
对，肾移植是的。
你们就是大量做肾移植是就是做了几年开始的？
我们是最早的。
那大量做肾移植是什么时候开始的呢？
很早的开始。
一年能做上几例呢？
我们医院是数量做的最多的一个医院，像我们科就是在湖北地区是做的最多的，供体多也做的非常多。
我从做患者来讲的话，希望那个肾源的话活体，新鲜。现在因为现在就是比较常说的就是找犯人的这个活体移植，比较多的就是用比如说练法轮功的这个用这个活体，这个的话就是行不行？就是这个可以。那么你们这边的话，就是比如说像那个就是监狱犯人那个练法轮功的这样的活体，能够有保证足够吗？
对呀，可以啊，你到时候可以直接过来再具体谈。
下面一个是
Investigative subject, Ju Yun Song, director of the Urological Department, date July 2006.
是，请问是广东军区总医院朱主任吗？
我是。
你好，我是北京304医院的，因为我们现在有2个亲戚在这个304医院，肾源上呢现在不太够。2001年、2002年、2003年的那个时候我们真是大量做呀。另外还有一个就是说，确实他那个法轮功呢，他这个肾源比较好。你们这边怎么样？这方面法轮功肾源？
我们法轮功很少，我们这边。
就是说还是有一些的这样的。
我进行不来，你要愿意过来的话，就你过来，我们可以就5月1号之前肯定可以安排。
那你这个，你呢？你这个大概是来一批量？你刚才说的5·1之前是有一批吗？
好几批。
好。
我们任何肯定好几批。
那我看一下，我赶快看他们这边。然后5·1之后的话，还有没有这个时间？5
月之后可能到5月20几号了。5月20几号了，可能。
5月20几号。
对。
那这样子哈，如果你这个期间的话，如果能得到这样的法轮功这样的肾源，你还是跟我再打声招呼，好吧？
可以的，你有的过来好不好？
刚才大家听了。
Just now we heard 5 recorded phone investigations. These are just a few examples of the recordings of our extensive phone investigations. From Shanghai to Wuhan, from Shandong province to Guangzhou, from east to west, from north to south, across China's entire territory. In the entire country, the hospitals have been doing organ harvesting in a mad frenzy. They would perform organ transplants as soon as the donors come. They were all alive and all Falun Gong practitioners. When we heard the news about live organ harvesting, we were not certain. Through a period of investigation, we deeply felt that the live organ harvesting was real, and it was extremely serious. Not only that this was real, but also that it had been being carried out on a large scale across the country. We initially conducted investigations on major organ transplantation hospitals and transplant centers in 23 provinces, and all of them were doing this. Please think about it. How heavy our hearts must have been at that time. Faced with such truth, how would you feel? This is the horrible situation of the organ transplant industry in mainland China in 2006. Due to our investigation, we deeply felt that the crime of live organ harvesting was indeed existent, and it had been taking place throughout China. The next chapter is about the existence of a massive living organ donor pool in China. Through our systematic investigation, we found that China's organ transplant industry experienced an explosive growth after 1999. Rush organ transplants emerged after 2006 and soon became commonplace. For this kind of frantic organ transplants to take place across China, where do those organs come from? We've discovered that there exists an enormous living organ donor pool in mainland China. Why do I say that China has such a huge living organ donor pool? I will explain this to you from 9 aspects. First, the average wait time for organ transplant is extremely short. The average is 1 to 2 weeks. Earlier, we talked about the average organ wait time in the United States, which is 2 to 3 years. After 1999, the organ transplant wait times in mainland China became extremely short. Even the phenomenon of reversed organ matching emerged. Under normal circumstances, patients would wait for donor organs. That is, patients would need to look for organs everywhere or wait for organs to come. We all know that organ transplantation requires matching, such as blood type matching, HLA, human leukocyte antigen matching, as well as lymphotoxin crossover trial. In terms of the HLA matching, the many years of experience of the International Society of Nephrology suggests that the probability of finding a matching donor who is not a family member of the patient is 6.5%. In other words, one person doing organ transplantation requires at least 15 to 16 people in order to find a match. Also, you still need to match the blood type and several other items, so this is very hard to do. The average wait time for liver and kidney transplants in the United States is 2 to 3 years. However, in China, there exists the phenomenon of reverse organ matching. I'll give you a few examples right now. The first one is regarding the Orient Organ Transplant Center at Tianjin First Central Hospital. According to their summary report on their website, the average wait time for a liver transplant is 2 weeks. The second is about the China International Transplant Network Assistance Center, CITNAC, in Shenyang. It offers the patients a special service. That is, if the donor organ is found to be problematic at the time of the donor organ extraction, the center would be responsible for finding a new organ for the patient and complete the operation within 1 week. This means that the center would find an organ within 1 week after the operation cancellation. In the third example, this is the webpage screenshot of the liver transplant surgery application form at the 2nd Military Medical University in Shanghai Changzheng Hospital. It clearly indicates that the average wait time is 1 week. Now I'm going to play several of our phone investigation recordings for you to learn about the situation of China's organ transplant industry. Investigative subject, a doctor at the Hepatobiliary Surgery Department of Zhengzhou People's Hospital. Date, June 25, 2015.
你好，请转一下那个肝胆外科那个病房医生电话。我这儿有个那个患者呀，就是要做那个肝移植手术啊，那就是听朋友说
可以做。你那是哪里呀？
我的那个亲戚啊在郑州，我是在广东，在你们那儿哈需要多少钱呀？大概要
他有意见吗？这50万块钱左右。
50万左右哈。那我想问一下哈，就是大概等多长时间呢？就是去了的话，你可以做。
快的3-2天，慢的这个10来天。
你们供体一般都是什么类型的？ 是死刑
这个
犯。
东西不可奉告啊，不可奉告，我们不要问这些东西。这肯定啊。
哦，这些不要问啊。那我大概什么时候去能找到你啊？
你啥时候每天24小时直接到我们病房嘛，16楼。
16楼。
移植科。
到16楼。
Here is the second recording. Investigative subject Dr. Li Gongchuan at the Liver Transplant Department of the First Affiliated Hospital of Zhengzhou University. Date, March 19, 2015.
另外就是我们过去马上可以
估计1周之内就可以。我们今天上午还做了一个，然后是刚做完。
他等了多久啊？
这边弄好之后，我们看了可以做，然后是这个病人立马有的连夜能过来，连夜做。
Here is the third recording. Investigative subject Dr. Chen Yunfang from the Liver Transplantation Department of Zhengzhou People's Hospital. Date, June 26, 2015.
是我们本地的，质量都没问题。那我就是说可以挑一个好的、年轻一点的肝脏给你们。今天我们刚做了一台，今天我们是有一个16岁的，总共下来是700多克，不到800克，老肝，年轻很好。你说？
另外一个多少岁的？
另外一个是20多岁的。
你们一般超过40岁都不咋爱要了哈。
一般我们都不考，基本上我们不考虑，就是现在还有挑的余地。
Well, so you have just listened to some recordings about the situation of patients waiting for organ transplants in China. So how about the United States? Let's look at this chart. This is a web page screenshot. It shows the average wait times for liver and kidney transplants in the United States. So the average wait time for a liver transplant is 796 days, which is equivalent to 2 years. And the average wait time for a kidney transplant is 1,121 days, which is equivalent to 3 years. Let us now compare the differences between China and the United States. In the United States, the average organ wait time is 2 years, equivalent to 106 weeks. The U.S. has 120 million voluntary organ donors, as well as an advanced national organ deployment network system. We've all learned that in China, the average organ wait time is 2 weeks. If we perform a calculation based on the U.S. organ deployment system, how many voluntary organ donors would be required for a matching donor to be found within 2 weeks? It would be around 6 billion people. There is such a large gap. However, in China, as we mentioned earlier, there was no voluntary organ donor prior to 2005, and there was no national organ deployment network system until 2013. This is the first aspect that I'm talking about. This is one piece of evidence to prove the existence of a massive living organ donor pool in China. Let me explain to you about the second piece of evidence. The rate of emergency liver transplant was as high as 26.6%. What is emergency liver transplantation? It is an emergency liver transplant operation performed on patients with acute, serious liver problems in less than 72 hours to live. This is called emergency liver transplant. What you see now is the 2006 annual report on China liver transplant registration. This annual report clearly recorded that from April 6, 2005 to December 31, 2006, they collected data on 8,486 cases of liver transplantation. Among them, 4,331 cases were specified whether or not they were emergency transplants, and a total of 1,150 emergency liver transplants were recorded among them, equivalent to 26.6% and exceeding 1/4 of the total. I would also like to add that the 2006 annual report on China liver transplant registration also clearly documented that whole liver transplantation cases accounted for 97.7%. That is, the vast majority of these liver transplants were whole liver transplants. One liver would have cost one life. Let's do an analysis according to this chart. First, this is a state-level annual report. Second, the report clearly stated that emergency organ surgeries accounted for 26.6%. That is 1/4 of the donor organs were guaranteed to be supplied at any time. Third, such organs which were immediately available at any time should not be normally donated organs, nor from executed prisoners. Why? This is because normally donated organs would emerge randomly, and their supplies are unpredictable and unplannable. How about organs from executed prisoners? The execution of a death row prisoner would be carried out at a specific time and place, as decided and confirmed by the Supreme Court. It is impossible that a hospital in need of an emergency liver transplant would be able to immediately change a court decision and drag a death row prisoner to be executed in order to take his organs. This is impossible. Fourth, in order to meet the demand for livers by a large number of emergency liver transplantation cases, which accounted for 26.6% of the total, a large number of individuals would be available for organ excision. Why? This is because organ transplants require blood type matching and tissue typing. Therefore, to guarantee the quick procurement of such a large number of livers, to perform 26.6%, exceeding 1/4 of the specified liver transplants, the number of living donors behind this organ supply would be rather enormous. Based on the above analysis of these situations, we can conclude that the liver donors were readily available, and their number was enormous. They could be slaughtered at any time to extract their organs. In other words, there exists a massive living organ donor pool. Without the support of this massive living organ donor pool, it would be impossible to complete such a large amount of emergency liver transplants. The third evidence of the existence of a living organ donor pool is that one operation would be supplied with multiple backup donor organs. Let me tell you a story here. Huang Jiefu used 3 backup donor livers for one of his surgeries. On September 28, 2005, he demonstrated an autologous liver transplantation surgery at the first affiliated hospital of Xinjiang Medical University. This news story was reported by 4 major state-run Chinese media outlets, including www.xinhua.com, reprinting from www.xjbs.com.cn, and www.sina.com, reprinting from Urumqi Evening News, Today's Nurse Monthly Magazine, and Phoenix Weekly Magazine also reported this surgery taking place on September 28, 2005. According to our analysis, since a lot of the details were reported, according to our analysis of the situation, these 3 donor livers were excised from living persons. First of all, let me narrate this story for you. When Huang Jiefu opened the abdominal cavity of a 46-year-old liver cancer patient named Yao Shufa, he discovered that this liver's condition was suitable for an autologous liver transplantation. What is autologous liver transplantation? That is, to remove the patient's liver first, cut off the tumor or lesion on the liver, and then place the liver back into its original position, back into the patient's body. This is called autologous liver transplantation. So Huang Jiefu decided to do an autologous liver transplantation. An autologous liver transplant would take more than 12 hours to perform, and afterward, it would take another 24 hours of observation to determine whether it is successful or not. If the surgery fails, he would have to conduct an allogenic liver transplant. Otherwise, the patient would die immediately. So Huang Jiefu sutured the incision, and he then immediately called the first affiliated hospital, Sun Yat-sen University of Medical Sciences in Guangzhou, and the third military medical university, affiliated Southwest Hospital in Chongqing, requesting a backup liver. According to www.xinhuanet.com, reprinting from Urumqi News Online, Today's Nurse, in the afternoon of September 28, several hours after receiving the phone call from Huang Jiefu, the first affiliated hospital, Sun Yat-sen University, and the third military medical university each found a backup liver with the same blood type and genetic loci as the patient. Please note that the backup livers that they found not only had the same blood type, but also the same genetic loci as the patient. These were very good livers and good matches. Also, on the next day, at 6:30 p.m. on September 29th, one backup liver was delivered to Urumqi. After Huang Jiefu received it, he started performing the operation at 7 p.m. The operation lasted until 10 a.m. on September 30, when he announced the operation to be a success. However, a successful operation didn't guarantee a successful transplant, so he observed the patient for another 24 hours. Huang declared the transplant successful. The backup livers were no longer needed. Now, let's analyze why I said that Huang Jiefu used 3 living people as donors. First, let me tell you a piece of common knowledge. According to the regulations released by mainland China's Ministry of Health, the donor liver's cold ischemia time cannot exceed 15 hours. The period of time between when a liver is put into a cold preservation solution and when it is transplanted into another body cannot exceed 15 hours. If it exceeds 15 hours, then the liver can no longer be used. Then let's think about this again. The livers delivered from Chongqing and Guangzhou must have been 2 living persons. Why? If you excise the livers in Chongqing and Guangzhou, by the time they arrived, the time would have exceeded 15 hours. The one found in Xinjiang must also be a living person. Why? When you found it, you couldn't extract the organ right away, because you had to wait to see when the operation would take place. If you excised it, and later the cold ischemia time exceeded the stipulated 15 hours, the liver would also become useless. Therefore, these 3 livers were actually 3 living human beings. On the third aspect, based on these news reports, we can see that there exists a large human organ donor pool, which operates outside of China's judiciary system. Why do I say that it's outside of China's justice system? This is because the execution of death row prisoners must strictly comply with the regulations. The time and location of the execution must be in accordance with written documents issued by the Supreme Court. At the time of the execution, officials from the court and the procuratoriate must be on site to perform a positive identification of the prisoner awaiting execution. Then, a forensic assessment is performed to determine whether or not the person has been shot to death. Only then can his or her organs be extracted. Now let's think about it. The news reports clearly indicated that the medical personnel brought 2 matching livers and diverting equipment to Xinjiang. That is, the livers couldn't be from the court system, and it is impossible that the hospitals would bring a large group of forensic doctors and court and procuratoriate officials in order to watch Huang Jiefu's operation, and then they would announce the execution of the liver donors. This is absolutely impossible. On the fourth aspect, this live human organ donor pool is suspected to be at the state level, and the number of detained persons is massive. According to these news reports mentioned previously, the number of people who could be slaughtered at any time for their organs and who were in concentrated detention was enormous. Why? Previously, I reminded you that Huang Jiefu found 3 backup livers with matching blood type and genetic loci within a few hours. Think about it. There are 4 human blood types, including A, B, AB, and O. 4 blood types. How about gene loci and HLA? If we calculate based on a matching rate of 6.5%, then think about it. For a perfect match to be found, the number of potential donors would be very large. If we calculate based on the rate of 6.5%, it would require 15 to 16 individuals for a patient to find 1 matching donor. Well, if we also take other factors into considerations, then the number of potential donors required would be even larger. Therefore, the number of people detained at these several places was rather large. Moreover, it simply took 1 phone call from Huang Jiefu to mobilize all these places to find him backup livers. This phone call was made at the last minute, and Huang didn't tell them the specifics. However, they immediately found livers for him. Then these several places must have large numbers of donors with various blood types and gene loci in order for them to find these 3 matching donors, right? Well, the 5th is that what they performed was a whole liver transplant. So the 3 backup livers prepared for this surgery actually cost 3 human lives. Think about it. Huang Jiefu was then a vice minister of China's Ministry of Health. When he was making the phone call to find these livers, he was fully aware of these people's situation, and he also clearly understood what he was doing. That is, his phone call would have 3 individuals killed. But he made the call anyway, and several state-level media also reported this. What kind of a horrifying phenomenon it is. On the 6th aspect, according to the information that we've gathered, Huang Jiefu is still often conducting such organ transplant demonstrations all over the place, and he would also perform multiple operations at the same time. For example, Guangzhou Daily reported in 2013 that Huang Jiefu told this newspaper that he performed more than 500 liver transplants in 2012. Among them, only 1 case used a donated liver. Think about this. As a vice minister of China's Ministry of Health, with lots of traveling at public expense, seminars and conferences, and other social activities, he could even perform 400 to 500 cases of liver transplantation in 1 year alone. How many cases could mainland Chinese surgeons perform? This is a terrifying situation. Let's take a look at the 4th evidence. Many hospitals conduct multiple transplant operations in 1 day, up to 24 liver and renal transplant operations. World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong's investigation found that after 1999, it became commonplace for many hospitals to conduct multiple transplant operations simultaneously within a single day. For example, Xinqiao Hospital of 3rd Military Medical University once performed 24 kidney transplant operations in 1 day. Tianjin 1st Central Hospital once performed 24 liver and kidney transplant operations in 1 day. The General Hospital of Jinan Military Region performed 16 renal transplant operations. The Hospital of Sun Yat-sen University performed 19 kidney transplant operations in 1 day. The phenomenon of simultaneously conducting multiple transplant operations in 1 day is still very common. In 2014, we found online reports about 42 hospitals conducting multiple organ transplant operations at the same time. Let's think about it. Such a large number of simultaneously performed surgeries have been emerging over a long period of time. Where did the donors come from? The 5th evidence, let me explain to you that during our investigation, in the doctor's papers on organ transplantation, what was reported about extensively, it's their warm ischemia times, which range from 0 to 5 minutes, 8 minutes. That is, the organ's warm ischemia times were exceedingly short. Therefore, it is suspected that these organs were harvested when the donors were still alive. Institutions publishing such reports include Nanjing Medical University, the 2nd Artillery General Hospital PLA, and Shanghai 2nd Military Medical University. What is warm ischemia time? It is the period of time from the moment the donor stops supplying blood to the organ to the moment when the organ is placed into a cold preservation solution. This period of time is called warm ischemia time. If a person's organs are excised after death, his warm ischemia time would start when his heart stops beating. Then the organs are extracted and placed in a cold preservation solution. This period of time is called warm ischemia time. In these doctors' medical papers published in mainland China, the warm ischemia times were generally reported to be 0. Organs with a warm ischemia time of 0 are usually obtained from brain-dead persons or living humans. I would also like to tell you that there has been no legislation on brain death in mainland China so far, and there is no uniform set of national criteria on what constitutes brain death. This means that there should be no brain-dead organ donor in mainland China. If anyone in mainland China says that he uses organs from brain-dead donors, that person would have violated the law. The 6th evidence to show the existence of a living organ donor pool is the proofs of murder revealed in some medical papers published in mainland China. A medical paper written by Wu Jian and 5 other physicians from Yan'an Hospital of Kunming describes the procedure of 2 combined heart-lung transplant operations and the protection during the organ excision operation. In this paper, the text I've underlined in red are their operation records. Here is the description of the surgical procedure as specified in the paper. After the donor, organ provider, entered their operating room, conventional anesthesia and endotracheal intubation procedures were administered. After the anesthesia began taking effect, routine draping procedure was followed by using sterile towels. An incision was made in the center and into the chest swiftly by using routine surgery procedures. Then, let's analyze why we say that this is a proof of murder. First, according to the surgery records, we believe that the donor was a living person, because only living people need anesthesia and intubation, right? Of course, these measures may be necessary to relax the muscles under special circumstances, but not here. Second, the donor was also a conscious person. According to the description of the surgical procedure, after the anesthesia began taking effect, routine draping procedure was followed by using sterile towels. Then think about it. Clinically, how do doctors determine whether the anesthesia has taken effect or not? It is based on checking the person's nerve sensory functions and reflexes, right? Then since the doctor had to observe and determine that the anesthesia has taken effect before using the sterile towels to perform the operation, this person must still have nerve sensory functions and reflexes. So this was definitely a living person, right? Third, this was a person with spontaneous breathing. This is because, according to the surgery records, the tracheal intubation only took place after the donor entered the operating room. That is, before entering the room, he or she could breathe on his or her own without intubation, right? Fourth, the organ provider was not brain dead or in a deep coma. This is because, if so, he or she would have received some emergency treatment, which would require endotracheal intubation and intravenous fluids. Even if the rescue efforts failed, the doctors would still maintain the organ provider's breathing, blood circulation, and heartbeat in order to keep the organs in a good condition. So he or she should have had intravenous infusion prior to entering the operating room. Therefore, we performed the above analysis from several aspects. This medical paper describing 2 cases of combined heart-lung transplantation is a record of harvesting the hearts and lungs from living persons and a report on murders. It is an authentic description of how the doctors conducted a murder. What is even more serious is that they actually recorded the murder process and published it on the internet in the form of a medical thesis. This is sufficient to show that their murderous activities have become their routine work and that they have become unscrupulous.
Now I'm presenting to you the murder evidence revealed in another medical paper. Chen Jingyu, a doctor at Wuxi People's Hospital, jointly authored a medical paper with 8 other doctors describing the excision of 100 lungs. These 100 lungs were excised during the time period from September 2002 to January 2011. The excisions took place in the operating room of the Lung Transplant Center at Wuxi People's Hospital. Let's analyze why this medical paper allegedly revealed the evidence of 100 murder cases. There are 2 aspects. First, these lungs were not donated organs. According to media reports, voluntary organ donations in Wuxi City started in July 2011. As of 2017, there had been a total of 29 cases of organ donations. According to the medical paper, these 100 lungs were obtained prior to or in January 2011. However, the organ donations in this city started in July 2011, so it's impossible for these lungs to be donated organs. Second, they were not organs from executed prisoners, because everyone knows that the executions of death row prisoners are governed by strict regulations, and they are carried out on the specific dates and locations, and relevant government personnel must be present at the executions. The medical paper clearly indicates that these 100 cases of lung excision took place in the operating room of the hospital's lung transplant center. Therefore, it can also be said that these were not organs of executed prisoners. Then, through analyzing both aforementioned aspects, it is proved that these 100 excised lungs were from a different source. They might be from Falun Gong practitioners or other people, and they were absolutely not from donations or executed prisoners.
The seventh evidence to show the existence of a living organ donor pool is that nearly all Falun Dafa practitioners in detention have been forced to take blood tests for no apparent reason. However, practitioners subjected to blood tests were never informed of the results, and the blood tests were performed after the Falun Gong practitioners endured various forms of physical and mental abuse, or during the torture process. Since 2014, many Falun Gong practitioners who are not detained and living at home have been forced to undergo blood tests. In retrospect, this was done by the CCP to build its large-scale organ transplant database. The eighth evidence is the witness's revelation of the existence of death camps. The first witness is Annie, whom we mentioned previously. She once said that there were more than 6,000 Falun Gong practitioners imprisoned in a hospital in Sujiatan. The second witness is an elderly Chinese military doctor from the Shenyang military region. In 2006, he wrote to the Epoch Times to reveal that there were 36 concentration camps detaining Falun Gong practitioners in China. The largest one was in Jilin, codenamed 672S, with over 120,000 individuals inside. Also, the ninth evidence is that in October 2000, AFP reported that the CCP had built new concentration camps in northeastern China and northwestern China, specifically for detaining Falun Gong practitioners. And each concentration camp could detain 50,000 people. So here is a screenshot of the report's webpage. From the above 9 pieces of evidence, we can see that in mainland China, after 1999, the wait times for organ transplants have become extremely short. The number of emergency transplants has become staggering. Multiple operations have been conducted in the same day. Sometimes one operation would have multiple spare donors and even live persons as backup donors. It is very common for donor organs to have zero warm ischemia times, and some strange phenomena, such as free organ promotions, have been taking place. These cannot be explained by normal organ donations or organ procurement from executed prisoners. Combining these pieces of evidence with insiders' testimonies regarding some large-scale concentration camps, we can draw this conclusion. After 1999, institutions similar to Nazi concentration camps have emerged in mainland China, holding a large number of Falun Gong practitioners and killing them for organs at any time. In 2007, I personally called Chen Qiang, a kidney broker, who worked for the People's Liberation Army No. 307 Hospital in Fengtai District, Beijing. He clearly stated that the authorities, the police, and the prison system were operating a supply chain to sell the organs of Falun Gong practitioners. I asked, quote, "How could you be so sure that the organ source was a Falun Gong practitioner?" End quote. Chen even said, quote, "When the time comes, then on our side, our higher-ups will have people show you some documents." End quote. Let's listen to the recording of this phone call. Investigative subject: Chen Qiang, a kidney broker for the PLA's No. 307 hospital in Beijing.
你这个东西呢，你怎么确定他是法轮功学员？这一点你了解过吗？
怎么确定法轮功学员？到时候我们这边头上面有人会给你出现资料，知道吗？他会出资料给你，这你放心。
哦，那好，那你
因为我现在给你，人家有资料，我个人简历什么资料都有。
哦，那好。但还有一个问题，
我跟你说吧，我跟你说白了，我这边呢全部都是我们这边也是通着关系，上面有上面的人，知道吗？像这些资料都不你说我都拿给你，知道吗？
那好。 他们这些呢，前些年因为法轮功学员上访没报姓名的，他们偷偷关起来了。这些没有登记也没注册。
啊，这里面像这里面的也很正常，知道吗？他这就没留，我跟你说，他这里面没留下姓名，他都留代号，你明白吗？
对对对。
他的像这些你不留姓名的全部代号，我这个比你明白，全部都有代号留档案，知道吗？
是这样的。那他光有代号的话，那应该还有真实名字的档案也是在里面了，对不对？
真实名字查不出来的话，他只能留代号，知道吗？还有根据那个手印儿，个人的手印儿，他根据那个来，知道吗？
那就等于是把他们这些人编了号，关起来了，对不对？
那肯定的，你像那他不编号，那到时候不乱套了吗？什么根据都没有，那哪行啊？
Well, we all heard this recording. This is how Falun Gong practitioners are administered with the code numbers, and they are killed for their organs by the CCP at will. After I finished this phone call, I was in a very heavy mood. This is horrifying. Is this something that humans are capable of doing? And what is even more serious is that such inhumane murders have become routine business for them. They conduct such activities without trying to keep them a secret. Now let me explain further. Since 2006, the CCP has always been claiming that they had been using executed prisoners for their organs. Now we tell you that this is a scam. After listening to what I said just now, please think about several questions. First, is it possible for the average wait time for an executed prisoner's organ to be 1 or 2 weeks? Can this type of organ supply meet this requirement? Second, can they be used for emergency transplants, as many as 26.6% of the total, and for an emergency transplant performed 4 hours after hospitalization? Third, could Huang Jiefu transfer 3 death row prisoners by just making a phone call? There are also more than 40 hospitals, which can perform multiple operations at the same time, up to 24 operations. Can they all use executed prisoners as their organ sources? We all know that the execution of death row prisoners must follow a set of strict rules, so the use of executed prisoners' organs is impossible. So how many death row prisoners are there in China? According to Amnesty International's records, from 1995 to 2005, the average annual number of executed death row prisoners in China was around 1,600. In terms of quantity, these over 1,000 people would be less than the number of organ transplant operations carried out at Beijing University's People's Hospital in 1 year. Zhu Jiye, director of the organ transplant department at Beijing University People's Hospital, said in an interview with the China Economic Weekly that prior to 2010, his hospital used to perform 4,000 liver and kidney transplants in 1 year. Huang Jiefu also said in 2013 that since more than a decade ago, the number of death row prisoners had been decreasing by 10% every year. Think about it. Amnesty International's records indicated that there were only 1,000 or 2,000 executed prisoners in mainland China. And by 2013, how many such prisoners were still there? The Supreme People's Court re-examined the death row inmates' cases in July 2013, and in September 2014, the court indicated that there were 165 death row prisoners, which was kind of in line with the annual decreasing rate of 10% mentioned by Huang Jiefu. And based on our investigation, in terms of health, death row inmates cannot all become organ donors. For example, in 2009, Hangzhou City of Zhejiang Province checked the hepatitis B carrier rate among 482 detainees and found that 29% tested positive. In 2006, Heze City in Shandong Province also conducted a physical examination of more than 3,000 detainees, and they found that 1.29% tested positive for AIDS and syphilis, and 28.91% tested positive for hepatitis B and hepatitis C. That is, nearly 30% of these detainees aren't qualified to become organ donors due to health reasons. And we have also researched a lot of medical theses. One of our reports was written after we collected and analyzed 300 medical papers from 200 hospitals. The health of the donors, as described by these hospitals, is consistently good. Most of the donors were described as having no history of long-term medication, no chronic illness, no hepatitis B, no hepatitis C, no fatty liver, no diabetes, and even no alcohol abuse. Some of the papers also mentioned that the donors have had no bad habits or addictions. Let's think about it. Aren't these donors much better than the regular healthy people in China? How can such a healthy person of good character become a death row prisoner? There is only one explanation. That is, these donors are Falun Gong practitioners. This is because Falun Dafa practitioners cultivate themselves according to the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. Therefore, these practitioners have good characters. Falun Gong exercises can make people achieve physical fitness within a short period of time. So from this point of view, the doctor's dissertations indeed told the truth. What they have used over these years are such excellent organs. Let me explain to you that in 2006, the CCP claimed that they were using the organs from executed prisoners for organ transplants. This diverted the entire world's attention from the live organ harvesting issue and diffused and weakened Falun Gong practitioners' accusation against them. Over time, this has also caused the international community's condemnation. This is because the use of executed prisoners' organs is also immoral. Therefore, the CCP started calling for pilot projects for the Chinese citizens' voluntary organ donations in 2010. In January 2015, it was announced that the CCP would stop using executed prisoners' organs and that all organ transplants would be performed by using organs donated by citizens. So what actually happened? Let me tell you that this is a lie. First of all, at present, the Chinese citizens' organ donation rate is just 0.6 per 1 million people, making China one of the countries with the lowest organ donation rates in the world. And let me tell you that there was no voluntary organ donation in mainland China before year 2005. Here we have a piece of evidence. It has been reported that He Xiaoshun, the vice president of the first affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University, performed China's first liver transplant operation with a donated organ in 2005. When Huang Jiefu was being interviewed by CN Healthcare website, he said that as of 2009, there had been only 120 cases of voluntary organ donation by Chinese citizens. Before 2010, that is, as of 2009, there lacked a voluntary organ donation system in China. So there was no such system. This system was actually established on March 1st, 2014. The information we see now is regarding the organ donation pilot project in Nanjing City, which was one of the 10 organ donation pilot cities in mainland China. On February 25, 2011, Yangtze Evening newspaper reported that 1 year after the pilot rejected was established, Nanjing hadn't had any organ donation. The number was 0. Over the past 20 years, only 3 persons had donated their organs in Nanjing. The second aspect is the results of the World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong's investigations. From January to November 2015, we conducted phone investigations on all mainland Chinese hospitals, which were qualified to perform organ transplants, as well as some civilian organ donation organizations. As it turned out, there had been very few successful organ donations. Let's listen to these recordings. The first recording, investigative subject, a staff member at the Organ Donation Office of the Red Cross Society of Beijing, date, December 6, 2015.
您是那个北京那个市红十字会是吧？
对对对，我们就是值班的人员。
哦，哎，我想问一下，就是因为我那个是有一个亲戚吧，要做那个移植啊，那医院都说那个就是红十字会呀，就是说你们这边就是说有都是这边捐的哈，我就想问一下，那我们在这边红十字会这里哈，就是那个有捐献的吗？
您是指的那个器官捐献吗？
啊，对，器官捐献。
我们是北京市红十字会，现在这个工作我们还正在筹备阶段。
The second recording. Investigative subject, a staff member at the Tianjin's Red Cross Society. Date, December 11, 2015.
我就想问一下，你们这里那个捐献有多少人捐呢？
什么意思？就是从建户到现在有多少人捐是吗？
对，有多少个？
有170多位。
你们
是有
对这里面包不包括那个尸体捐献呢？
不包括，我们这只是那个都是健康的人给那个患者去捐献。对。
那从什么时候有捐了100多个捐了几年呢？哪一年开始？
从03年开始。
2003年呢？
对。
2003年到现在捐了100多个了哈。
对。
The third recording. Investigative subject, a staff member of the Organ Donation Office of the Shanghai Branch Office of the Red Cross Society of China, Huangpu District, Shanghai.
到现在捐了几个啊？
上海市实现了5例。
实现了5例哈。
因为你说捐献多少，因为各个区其他区的情况我不知道。实现了5例。
就是咱们上海市实现了5例是吧？
对。
You have all heard from our audio recordings about the situation in China's largest cities, Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai, where the organ transplant numbers are the largest. The Red Cross branch in Beijing was still in the process of establishing its office, so it hadn't started operating. As for Tianjin, there had been only 170 cases of organ donation over the course of 11 years. Shanghai had just 5 cases. Despite these meager numbers, many hospitals in these major cities perform 2,000 to 3,000 organ transplant operations each on an annual basis. The Chinese authorities claim that the sources of those organs all came from donations is a blatant lie. Harvesting organs from living Falun Gong practitioners is a state crime committed by the CCP. After a decade of investigation, we have arrived at a shocking conclusion. These incidents of Falun Gong practitioners being murdered for their organs are not just isolated, accidental, or sporadic cases of killing for profit by random individuals. Instead, the former head of the CCP, Jiang Zemin, ordered the slaughtering via means of live organ harvesting. The different state apparatuses, including the party, the government, the military, the armed police, the Political and Legal Affairs Commission, the Public Security, the Procuratoriate, and the court system, as well as hospitals and medical facilities across the nation, have all been involved in the slaughter. This evil crime, the genocide of Falun Gong practitioners by harvesting their organs, began in year 2000 and continues to this day. I will present to you 4 pieces of evidence regarding this issue. First, 4 individuals directly named Jiang Zemin as the one who issued the order to use Falun Gong practitioners' organs for transplants. The first investigative subject, Bai Shuzhong, the head of the health division of PLA's General Logistics Department. Date, September 30, 2014.
是原总后卫生部白书忠部长吗？
你是哪里呀？
我们有一些情况想向您了解一下啊。
你怎么着？你什么时间有什么事儿？你说。
是这样，就是在您那个担任这个总后卫生部长的时候啊，就是摘取在押法轮功人员器官做器官移植手术这件事情，是当时的总后部长王克布置的任务，还是军委直接下达的命令呢？
当时是江主席啊，对有一个批示，有一个批示的话，就是说，说开展这些事情，就是器官移植。后来江主席听说有一个批示，就是人员卖肾做手术，这个应该说就是开展肾移植的，不单是军队地方。
然后这个我们也就是得到了一些就是情报，有那个就是说，当时 联勤部还负责关押了一批法轮功在押人员的这个器官供体，是不是？
这个当时的话，哎呦，我觉得，起码在我印象中，当时，是吧？因为当时江主席批示以后，这个反法轮功，这个大家都做了很多工作。
你们就是这个跟这些联勤。1分部、2分部，包括这个联勤40分部这些，他们负责的这些军队医院有没有这些直接的这些领导被领导的关系？
我们对几个军医大学就能掌控的，咱们总后直属单位几个军医大学反复要求，因为那时候江很重视这个问题，很重视这个问题。
谁很重视这个问题？
江啊，当时在位的时候还是很重视这个问题，都有批示的。
您是那个从98年至2004年担任这个？
对，担任卫生部长，总后卫生部长，98年到04年。
行吧，那我们先初步了解这些。
行，好，有机会有什么事你问我，没问题啊。
行，好，好，谢谢，再见。
再见。
就大家听到这个录音。
As you just heard clearly from this recording, Bai Shuzhong was the head of the health division of the PLA's General Logistics Department from 1998 to 2004, which happens to be the same time period during which the CCP's persecution against Falun Gong was the most brutal. And it was also a peak period for live organ harvesting. The Chinese military has played the central role in conducting live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners. Bai was the highest-ranking administrative official in the military's health system at that time, so he would be one of the key figures in implementing Jiang's order to slaughter Falun Gong practitioners. So he should know more clearly about this crime than anybody else. Now let us listen to the next recording. Investigative subject, Bo Xilai, then Minister of Commerce. Date, September 13, 2006.
Schönen guten Abend, das Hotel Atlantik in Hamburg. Mein Name ist David Monte.
Guten Abend, könnten Sie für mich für diese Firma 5 verbinden?
Ja, wie ist denn der Name?
Paul?
Ja, Augenblick bitte.
Ja. Nee? Ja? 是那什么国家部长吗？
你是哪啊？
我是那个使馆，我是那个使馆一秘啊。那什么有点急事啊，今天那个德国那个外交部下午那个跟我们说了一下，有一个事情得澄清一下。就是说那个当初您在这个辽宁当时那个省长的时候，因为说到明天的会见嘛，他们想那什么澄清一下，就是说当初您在那个辽宁当省长的时候，是相当您那个江主席下的命令，还是您那个还是您那个参与的？就是说这个关于把这个法轮功这个活体摘除器官这个事情，是您的命令，还是江泽民的命令？就他们那个德国外交部要核对，就是说如果您要是参与这个事情，他们就是说有一些会见，就是说他们可能出席的规格就有所变动。就是说这个因为是他们法轮功的递交了一不是那个，但是这个马上这事情那个他们今天下午刚那个递交了这个，就是给我们一个那个照会，就是说
Okay, as you can see from this recording, the phone call was made when Bo Xilai was accompanying then Premier Wen Jiabao on an official visit to Germany. Bo took the call in his hotel room in Hamburg. Our investigator pretended to be the first secretary of the Chinese embassy in Germany. At first, Bo Xilai blurted out and admitted that Jiang Zemin was responsible, but he immediately realized the seriousness of what he had just said, so he became impatient and flared up. Our second piece of evidence proves that the CCP's senior officials are all aware of the live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners. The ones we investigated include 5 standing committee members of the CCP Politburo: Zhang Gaoli, Zhang Dejiang, Li Changchun, Zheng Qinghong, and Zhou Youkang. In addition, we investigated Liang Guangli, Minister of Defense, as well as member of the Central Military Commission, and Guo Boxiong, Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission. Our third piece of evidence proves that the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission, the 610 system, is directly involved in carrying out the live organ harvesting. With regard to this piece of evidence, we investigated Zhou Benshun, General Secretary of the Political and Legal Affairs Commission of the CCP's Central Committee, and we also interviewed the Vice Secretary of the Political and Legal Affairs Commission of Liaoning Province, among others. We will play a few recordings next. The first recording. Investigative subject, Li Changchun, Standing Committee member of the Politburo of the CCP Central Committee.
喂，你好，是韩梅联络员吗？
我是，您是？
您现在是在代表团的旅馆里头吗？
对。
您方便一下，我是这个罗干办公室，您方便把这个电话给这个咱们李长春首长吗？
您稍等一下啊，您是罗干办公室是吗？
对对。
好，稍等啊。这是那个罗干办公室的，说要跟首长。罗干办公室的，是谁？
喂。
哎，你好，哪位？
我是周青。
我是罗干办公室张主任呀。我们罗干同志想跟这个李长春同志通电话。
现在吗？
对对。
好的，稍等啊。好的，稍等。好，罗干同志跟通。
喂，是李长春同志吗？
是啊。
我是罗干办公室的张主任。我们罗干同志睡觉了，然后他有几句话让我转告您一下。他们好像是说我们得到消息说想在您离开期间，还有咱们贾庆林离开期间，就是想用摘取在押法轮功练习者的器官做器官移植手术这件事情给薄熙来他们定罪。这当时
你问苏永康。
当时
康具体管这个事儿，他知道。好了，你让我秘书再接着跟你说。
调查对象
Investigative subject, Liang Guangli, then Minister of Defense. Date, May 4th, 2012.
喂，您是国防部梁光烈部长吗？
你哪一位啊？
我是我们有几个简短的问题问您一下。他王立军最近几天跟我们有一个新的，就是提供了一个新的情况啊，就是他曾经跟部队的医院合作呀，用在押的法轮功练习者的器官做器官移植手术，这方面的研究。所以请您跟我们介绍一下，就是部队的这些3甲医院用在押的法轮功练习者的器官做器官移植手术这方面的事情。
你有2个事儿啊，告诉你啊。一个是我在国外。你电话打来以后，我不好证实你的身份。第二个，他说是你说的那个事情。我也不管这个事儿。
这是属于是不是应当属于总后勤部负责呢？
那你要去问问他们谁管这个事儿。
就是就是您在您做总参谋长期间有没有听说过这方面的事情？
听说过，因为我是管军事工作，我不管后勤医疗的事儿。
那如果当时如果部队负责看管一些器官移植供体的话，那这个事情
我听说这个事儿
就是军委开会的时候有没有讨论过这个事情呢？
讨论过这个事情好不好？
行，那我们向有关部门了解吧。
好的。
Investigative subject, Tang Junjie, former Deputy Secretary of the Political and Legal Affairs Commission, Liaoning Province. Date, April 13, 2012.
是原辽宁政法委副书记唐俊杰吧？
您哪位？
哦，我是中纪委博起来专案组的。我们那个，你好，这个，就是关于这博起来在辽宁的一些事情，我们想向你这个了解一下。
哦，好啊，你什么时候？我什么时候去？
那个我们先那什么吧，那个我们先电话里头先了解一下，如果要有必要的话，我们再给你发函，那个请你过来一下。
好。
就是大概有几个问题吧。
你说。
头一个问题就是，在这个摘取法轮功练习者的器官做移植手术这件事情上，这个薄熙来做过什么相关指示吗？
那个我分管这个工作，那个中央直接抓这个事，影响很大嘛。联合以后，好像有，他也是正面的，好像还是正面的，那个是主要是常委会讨论呐，那好像还是正面的一些东西。你现在在什么位置啊？你问这个问题我有点，你在什么位置啊？现在呀？
我是在那个北京，我是他们这个专案组这个。
那好了，那我不回答你的问题，我得到你准确消息，我再给打的好吧？我见到你公安函着，我再跟你谈了。这个我不好回答，一定有些的涉及到这方面的问题，我不好再回答你，好吧
？The fourth type of evidence proves the nationwide participation of the military, armed police, judiciary system, and local medical systems in the live organ harvesting. The first audio recording is the testimony by an armed police officer who was guarding a live organ harvesting site. This policeman was from Jingzhou City, Liaoning Province. On April 9, 2002, he guarded the site where two military doctors live organ harvested a female Falun Gong practitioner in her 30s. She was a middle school teacher. Her heart, liver, and kidneys were extracted when she was still alive. He later blew the whistle to World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong, and described in gruesome and horrifying detail what he had witnessed during the entire process of live organ harvesting. Let's listen to the recording first.
以后王宪，如果我还活着的话，你就帮我转载这些东西。
好，我答应你。
那个，如果我要是死了，你就找别人，或者是打听我这个，或者是把我的这个事迹做成一个文章。我倒是不是为了让他知道我，为了让更多的我出来，敢于说真话。
哦，你的目的是这样子啊？那个时间你好像没告诉我哈。
2002年4月9日。
4月9日。
对，4月9日下午5点开始解剖，时间进行了3个小时，之前已经连续1个月了。
什么叫连续1个月啊？
连续1个月的刑讯逼供。
你亲眼看到啊？所以苏家屯这个事情是真的啊？
那当然了，沈阳苏家屯，你别说他们，别的事情就犯别的事儿的，全都是毒打，全都是苏家屯那地方是辽宁最黑的地方。
对啊，他们那就是活摘器官的地方啊。
对，最黑的地方。眼角膜、肾、心脏，还有这个甚至还把那个脑浆吸出来，不知道有什么用。手术刀在胸脯一刀下去，血是喷溅出来的。
你看到那个是男的还是女的？
女的。
女的，年轻的吗
？30多岁吧。
好，你说一下他当时怎么说的？
当时我们经历了，就是得有1个星期对他的审问、严刑拷打，身上已经有无数次伤疤，并且电棍这个电他已经就是神志不清，把他打的已经就是反正又给他又不吃东西。然后我们强行的给他这个灌牛奶往他的 往他的胃里，然后他不喝就强行给他灌，你知道那个把他鼻子捏上，他就是人的本能就必须喝，于是维持着他这7天瘦了15斤，而这个时候不知道是可能是辽宁省公安厅某办公室吧，反正是一个挺保密的部门，派了2个，这个一个是解放军沈阳陆军总医院的一个军医，还有一个是第2军医大学毕业的。这个具体反正一个岁数大一个年轻的，不打任何麻药，然后这个刀啊在胸脯上，就是他们这个手啊一点抖都不抖。当时我们就是一人拿一把手枪在旁边站岗，然后他就嗷的大叫一声，那个女人就嗷大叫一声，说法轮大法好。
从胸口的时候划下去的时候，他喊了法轮大法好，
嗷的大叫一声说法轮大法好。说这个，你杀了我一个人，我具体大概意思就是你杀了我一个人，你还能杀了我们好几亿人的为了自己真正的信仰被你们迫害的人吗？这个时候那个医生军医犹豫了一下，然后看了我一眼，又看了我们的领导一眼，然后领导点了一个头，他还继续的，然后把血管。先摘的是心脏，然后再摘的是肾。当心脏的血管一剪到一下，他就进行一阵抽搐，然后那个非常可怕的，就是我给你学下声音呢，就反正我也学不好，反正撕裂那样是，然后就就一直这个张着大嘴，睁着2个眼睛，张着大嘴，哎呀，我不想再讲下去了。
我知道。那你知道他的名字吗？
他叫我不能说，这个我不能说，因为当时在场就几个人。这样吧，你就是让我给他起一个化名，
好，
就叫雪玫瑰怎么样？他的名字跟一个花有关系，就叫雪玫瑰。是一个老师，就是在中学教书的老师，然后他的儿子今年可能12岁了吧，他的老公是一个没什么能耐的一个，就是也是一个工人吧。在这之前呢，他受过的羞辱更大呀。那个我们的民警就是有不少啊，就是比较变态那种的，给他进行什么。这个用钳子、用窥视器，都是不知道哪来的仪器，反正我都亲眼所见。我当时没照个照片，就是遗憾，对他进行这个，属于是猥亵吧。然后又有的人他长得呀有点姿色，比较漂亮，然后对他进行这个强暴，太多了。还有更邪恶的呢，就是反正这，哎呀。我感觉对不起他，我一想起他那一瞬间，我感觉对不起他。当时啊，我这个枪已经上了10弹，我甚至想了怎么样，我枪里有10发子弹，当时在场有5个人，我想给他们一都崩了。
You all heard from the recording what he described. They tortured her and even sucked her brain out. He also described the live organ harvesting. Last but not least, he mentioned something even more evil than these. Think about it, everyone, how evil the persecution is, and how evil the live organ harvesting is. This policeman, supposedly guarding the scene of the live organ harvesting, was shocked by its cruelty and gruesomeness. Afterwards, for a long time, he couldn't calm down. After several years, he finally stepped forward, risked his life, and contacted us to blow the whistle and expose the truth of live organ harvesting. Investigative subject, a criminal court police of the Intermediate People's Court, Jingzhou City. Date, May 22nd, 2000.
哎喂，请问是锦州中级人民法院刑一厅吗？
对，
我只知道2001年开始，我们一直都是在跟呢法院呢、看守所呀，就是拿那个年轻的、健康的那种练法轮功的那种肾源供体，现在的话就是少了， 所以现在我们不知道你们这个法院还能不能提供就是这样的供体。
那得看你们那条件吧，得领导跟领导商量。你那条件好了，我们估摸还能提供。
是吧？
啊，对，看你那啥情况。这个我会把你这个情况向我们厅长汇报，如果有必要的话，我们厅长自然会跟你联系。
After the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong published these investigative phone conversation recordings, someone raised the question of how to verify the authenticity of our recordings. I can assure you here that the evidence published will eventually be submitted to the International Court of Justice as evidence for trying and sentencing the offenders. The credibility of these recordings can be verified from the following aspects. First, these phone calls are shown on the phone carrier company's monthly billing statements with the phone numbers, call times, and durations, which all match the audio recordings. Second, the identification of the voices of the investigative subjects. For instance, the voices of those high-ranking officials, such as the members of the Politburo Standing Committee, can be readily downloaded from their public speeches on the Internet, and they can be used for voice identification. As you know, the human voices, just like fingerprints, are unique and unforgeable. Third, when we publish these audio recordings, we usually would also publish their phone numbers so that they can be verified. For example, with the published phone numbers of some hospitals, you can verify the authenticity of the recordings by calling their numbers or checking with their phone carrier companies. Fourth, the CCP's tacit acknowledgement. Think about it, everyone. World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong has been gathering and publishing the criminal evidence of the CCP's illegal persecution against Falun Gong on a global scale. So the CCP indeed resents our organization very much. Any false information published by World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong would have been used by the CCP to discredit our organization. Regarding the numerous pieces of evidence that we've published so far, including those involving the members of the Politburo Standing Committee, provincial-level officials, and the policemen and doctors under them, the CCP has only responded once. And, as it turned out, the CCP actually helped confirm the credibility of our recording. Now I'd like to ask you to listen to our phone investigation recording on Dr. Liu Guoping from the Guangxi National Hospital. Once again, this is a typical example of the CCP unintentionally confirming our investigative results.
广西民族医院的卢国平医生就是被调查的医生之一。凤凰卫视节目采访了这个卢国平医生。卢医生在采访中承认接到了调查员的电话，承认被问到了录音中的问题。 但是否认自己做过那样的回答。
他问我那边是不是用的是法轮功的那些器官，但是我告诉他，我说我并没有参与这方面的手术，不知道他们器官是怎么来的，这方面我没办法回答他。
那你的这个同学有没有跟你说过，他们做的这些都是几种法轮功的，是不是啊？
这有些是法轮，有些是家属捐献的。
那现在就是说，我想找这种给我的孩子找这种法轮功的，你估计他能帮我找到吗？
肯定能够找到。
能找到啊。
他在这个报告里面说，你们以前用的法轮功供体是从监狱里面还是从看守所里面拿的？他里面说我的回答是从监狱里面 拿的，但是当时我的回答并不是这样。我的回答是我们医院没有这种资质，我本人也没有这种资质，所以不可能拿任何器官。
就说你们以前用的，就说是从哪里找？是看守所还是到这个监狱呢？
监狱里面找的。
监狱里啊，他那种就是都是那种健康的法轮功是吧？健康的法轮功。
对，肯定是学好的才能做完，因为这种东西做了要保证质量的。
还有第二个问题是，他说那你们都要到监狱里面自己去挑选吗？他当时说我的回答是对，肯定是说要去挑选的。这个问题当时根本都没问到，没有那回事。
那是都要像你们都要到监狱去自己去挑选是吧？
对，肯定挑选。
那挑选如果他不让你抽血怎么办？
他肯定会让。
他怎么会让呢？
有法检在里面的，你怕什么？这东西都用不着你们担心的。
不是他
会
我知道，他知道会是给他这个取器官移植吗？他会知道吗？
不知道啊。
他不知道啊，就是那就不让他知道是吧？知道他就不让抽了是吧？
对。
那你怎么说服让他说他说你抽血干什么？那你怎么讲呢？
哎呀，这个他们会有办法，这个不是你担心的问题。
The video you just watched is the only response from the CCP after the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong published so many reports on live organ harvesting and the persecution since the persecution of Falun Gong started. Besides this, there is no other response from the CCP whatsoever. However, it is precisely this response that provides us with the evidence to verify our investigation results. Through the large amount of evidence that we've just heard, you may have gotten an idea that this is not some random murder case for money. The live organ harvesting was ordered by Jiang Zemin by employing the entire state machine, including the Communist Party, government, military, armed police, judiciary system, and medical institutions. It is a nationwide massacre in the form of live organ harvesting. It is a state crime. For example, so far our investigation has found 4 individuals who have testified against Jiang for issuing the order of live organ harvesting. These individuals include high-ranking government officials, such as Politburo Standing Committee members, senior officials at the Ministry of National Defense and the Ministry of Health. They have all acknowledged this. There is a large amount of evidence obtained from the provincial-level 610 office systems and the political and legal affairs commissions, as well as the national medical system. It is sufficient to prove that the live organ harvesting is committed on a state level and organized by the government. From the existence and the operations of the live organ pool that we aforementioned, it can be seen that the live organ harvesting is not an operation created by the cooperation between local hospitals and courts. It can only take place through national-level coordination. For example, so many Falun Gong practitioners are detained in live organ banks. The entire process of live organ harvesting would include arresting, detaining, and slaughtering Falun Gong practitioners, and then distributing their extracted organs to various hospitals. The process is administered by a system involving the army, government administration, and hospitals. It would be impossible to carry out live organ harvesting without the organization by the state. Quantitatively speaking, in Chapter 1, we talked about the explosive growth of China's organ transplant industry. The large quantity of organ donors, the long period of such explosive growth, and other factors are all evidence showing that this is a state crime. It is a state crime led by the CCP. It is a state crime ordered by the highest authority, Jiang Zemin, by utilizing the entire state machine. So what is the scale of the state crime? Think about it. Since it is a state crime and has been continuing for more than a decade across China, you can imagine that its scale is enormous. According to our investigation, there are at least 891 hospitals suspected of having participated in the live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners. What you see now is a map showing the distribution of these hospitals, which are located across most of China's territory. Here I would like to emphasize that regarding these 891 hospitals and 9,519 organ transplant doctors, our investigation has obtained evidence on how many cases and how long they have performed organ harvesting. We have a list showing the detailed information of these doctors and hospitals on the internet. For all the hospitals marked on this map here, we have detailed evidence on them. Only those hospitals suspected of having participated in this crime are marked on the map. Next, I am going to demonstrate the scale of live organ harvesting from several aspects. The first aspect is that the quantity of actual organ transplants disclosed by the media is massive. The first publication I'd like to mention is China Economic Weekly, When being interviewed by this magazine, Zhu Jiye, director of Beijing University People's Hospital's Organ Transplant Department and head of the Organ Transplant Research Institute, said that prior to 2010, his hospital performed 4,000 liver and kidney transplants in 1 year. The second publication is China Times from Taiwan. It reported on May 17, 2006, that a Grade 3 hospital in Jiangzhou City conducted at least 3,000 organ transplants in 1 year. It is the PLA number 175 hospital of Nanjing Military Region. It has been performing at least 3,000 organ transplants each year. The third evidence was reported by Guanghua Daily. According to this article, Wuhan Tongji Hospital conducted thousands of organ transplants each year. Of course, you all have heard from one of the recordings we played that a doctor from Jiaotong University said that they conducted 400 to 500 transplants in 1 month. Then how many would there be in 1 year? That would be 5,000 to 6,000 cases. The second aspect is that the CCP's authoritative organ transplant experts have also confirmed that the actual transplant volume far exceeded the officially announced number. First, Wu Mengchao once said that China was ranking the first in the world in terms of liver transplant volume. How many liver transplants are performed in the United States every year? Over 6,000 cases, whereas China is number 1 in the world, so their liver transplant number would be no less than that of the U.S. The second expert, Huang Jiefu, also told Guangzhou Daily in 2013 that he conducted more than 500 liver transplants by himself in 2012 alone. Among all these cases, only 1 organ was donated. The third aspect is that we assess the organ transplant volumes of certain hospitals by using the numbers of their organ transplant ward belts, the bed occupancy rates, the durations, number of days of patients' hospital stays, and the hospital's surgical capacity. Regarding this, I'm going to talk about 3 hospitals as examples. The first hospital is the Tianjin First Central Hospital. Since 2006, it has been conducting more than 5,000 organ transplants each year, and the figure would reach 8,000 cases during peak periods. How did we obtain this number? Here is the calculation. On September 1st, 2006, their ward bed number was increased to 500, according to their only reports, and the bed occupancy rate reached 131.1% at its highest. If a bed is occupied every day, then the occupancy rate would be 100%. How could it reach 131.1%? The answer is that they had added more ward beds. As there were too many patients, extra beds were added in their corridors and their conference hall, and they would also rent beds from next door or nearby hotels. Therefore, when the hospital calculated the bed occupancy rate, it used its official fixed number of 500 ward beds as the base. As a result, the occupancy rate number is higher than 100%. Think about it. The average hospital stay would be 25 to 30 days, with the maximum being 30 days. Its highest bed occupancy rate is 131.1%, while the average nationwide occupancy rate for Level A Grade 3 hospitals was 103%. We would use 100% first to make a conservative calculation. 500 beds, 30 days of hospitalization, 100% occupancy rate, which means a bed was occupied by 1 patient per month. 500 beds would accommodate 500 patients, and that would give us an annual figure of 6,000 patients. If calculating by using 131.1% as the bed occupancy rate and 30 days as the hospitalization duration, the total number would be 7,975 each year. If we use the average days of hospitalization, 25 plus 30, and then divided by 2, it would be approximately 28 days. And the calculation result would be 8,544 cases. This is the case of the Tianjin First Central Hospital. Our conservative calculation would yield 5,000 to 8,000 transplant cases per year. The second hospital is the People's Liberation Army's No. 309 Hospital. In 2012, it conducted over 4,000 organ transplants. How did we get this number? In 2012, the hospital had 393 beds for organ transplants. If we use 100% as the bed occupancy rate and 30 days as the average length of hospital stay, and this is quite conservative, we would get 4,781 cases per year. And we took a more conservative approach by indicating that the hospital would conduct 4,000 cases per year. The third hospital is a small hospital. It's Gongyi Hospital of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Henan Province. Do you know what this Chinese medicine hospital does and how it treats illnesses? It uses traditional Chinese medicine as the primary means for diagnosis and treatment. What kind of city is Gongyi? It is a county-level city in Henan province. In 2001, this Chinese medicine hospital, within a county-level city's jurisdiction, unexpectedly set up a kidney transplant center of considerable scale. It can receive 12 kidney transplant patients and perform up to 8 cases of kidney transplantation per day. Just a few years later, by 2006, Li Hongdao, director of the urology department at this kidney transplant center, had performed 500 cases of kidney transplantation. Think about it, everyone. What kind of horror has been taking place in China? A traditional Chinese medicine hospital set up such a center and conducted such surgeries. This reminds me of the mainland China steelmaking movement with backyard furnaces in 1958. Large steel companies were making steel, while small rural communities and communes were also making steel, which was a nationwide movement. Right now, large hospitals are doing transplants, while middle-sized and small hospitals are also conducting transplants. This is a CCP's nationwide murder campaign. The fourth aspect is regarding a witness named Yang Guang, who is a China expert living in Denmark. He reported to the Epoch Times that one of his sworn friends for life, who was working at the Ministry of Public Security in China, told him on the phone that over the past many years, more than 500,000 Falun Gong practitioners had been live organ harvested by ordinary hospitals. This figure didn't include the organs harvested by military hospitals, armed police hospitals, or hospitals affiliated with universities and colleges. He had another friend who worked in a college, told him that 2 of the college's affiliated hospitals had been conducting 2,000 to 3,000 organ transplants each year. Fifth, let's assess the total number of organ transplants carried out by the CCP in the past many years. The first aspect is, in the course of our investigation, how many hospitals, on which we have found evidence, have been performing on average 2,000 to 3,000 transplants each year. 96 hospitals. Let's make a calculation. So if we use 2,000 cases, then it would be 192,000 cases each year for all 96 hospitals combined. Then how many would there be for 10 years? How about for 15 to 16 years? This figure is very scary. The second aspect is, how many liver-kidney transplant centers have been conducting an average of 400 cases each year? There are 50 of them. Therefore, they would be able to conduct 20,000 organ transplants each year. On the third aspect, there are many Level A, Grade 3 hospitals. These hospitals must have the capability to perform organ transplantation. So the organ transplant scale of these hospitals would not be small. On the fourth aspect, there are 153 small and middle-sized hospitals which are not qualified to perform organ transplants, such as the traditional Chinese medicine hospital in Gongyi, Henan province. There are also some obstetrics and gynecology hospitals and occupational disease hospitals among them. We have found out that these 153 hospitals had also been doing organ transplants, and their transplant volumes would not be small. If we combine the figures from all of these 4 aspects, the number of harvested organs would be enormous. When our investigation reached this point, honestly, we didn't dare to speak or talk about this number. And we were even reluctant to believe that this is true. In order to solve this problem, as World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong needs to find evidence, we were thinking how to find confirmation to verify the possibility of this enormous figure. Well, we came up with an idea. We targeted those officials of the highest authority who had been implementing Jiang Zemin's policy of live organ harvesting. And who were the key figures that might know the situation? Who were our targets? They were the officials, such as the incumbent Politburo Standing Committee members, Zhang Guaoli and Zhang Dejiang. At the time of the investigation, Zhou Yongkang, who knew the most about the situation, had been arrested and sentenced. Then, the remaining Standing Committee members were Zhang Gaoli and Zhang Dejiang, so we tracked them down. On June 24, 2015, we obtained the itinerary of Politburo Standing Committee member Zhang Gaoli. What was his trip about? He was abroad on a visit to Kazakhstan. We also obtained his cell phone number and his visiting schedule and timetables. So on June 24, 2015, we conducted an investigation on Zhang Gaoli. Investigative subject, Zhang Gaoli, the CCP's Politburo Standing Committee member. Date, June 24, 2015.
这样的，我是江泽民同志办公室的刘秘书啊。这个刘秘书你好。你好。江泽民同志呢有几句话让我转告你，说最近啊有上万名法轮功习练者向最高检察院说最近有上万名法轮功习练者向最高检察院控告江泽民同志，说追究江泽民同志下令摘取了几百万法轮功学员器官的责任，说江泽民同志很担忧这个事啊，他希望您呢在政治局讨论的时候一定要主旨追究这件事啊，您能做到吗？你要知道这个追究几百万这个活在法轮功学员器官这件事责任很大很重，您知道吗？您领奖的。我现在踏上核子弹。对。当下回去。对，我就说你回去了以后，这个事你得要。好。还有一个我想问一下你说。还有就是现在。好，行，那你一定要得阻止这件事情啊！你要知道这个追究江泽民下令摘取几百万法轮功学员器官的这事情，责任很严重啊！好，那行。那你这个事一定，那你这个事情一定要回去抓紧啊！还有一个，这个剩下的一些这个法轮功习练者也得处理好啊，不能出纰漏，好吗？那就这样啊。好，再见。
Our investigator, posing as Secretary Liu from Jiang Zemin's office, directly reached Zhang Gaoli on his cell phone. As a standing member of the Politburo of the CCP Central Committee and Vice Premier of the State Council, Zhang Gaoli did not deny, show surprise, nor try to explain away when being asked by the investigator about Jiang Zemin's order to remove organs from several million Falun Gong practitioners. On the contrary, he actively expressed definitely to do what? To prevent the matter from being pursued at the Politburo meeting? After this conversation, we felt a little more steady and sure in our hearts. At least he knew about the organ harvesting. Right now, you may wonder, at that moment, would he answer such sensitive questions? You may not know that the incumbent Politburo Standing Committee members, who are within the top authority, are not allowed to talk on cell phones to communicate directly like this in mainland China. They can only make phone calls through the red machines, which use human operators to work the phone switchboard. And the time, location, people, and conversation summary must be recorded and reported to the highest authority. Therefore, it's inconvenient for them to make phone calls in China, and the call was made at the time when Zhou Yongkang was sentenced. And it was said that Zhou was sentenced leniently due to his meritorious performance. Let's think about it. In terms of Zhou Yongkang's merit and atonement, what he did? Nothing more than revealing more of their internal secrets, right? So this would inevitably implicate Jiang Zemin and his clique. And it might include information on things like live organ harvesting. After Zhou Yongkang confessed, Jiang Zemin hadn't learned what he said. Wouldn't he be very anxious? Zhang Gaoli's within his clique. Wouldn't he be very concerned about it? So this directly concerned the fate of their clique. At this moment, a phone call was made to directly tell him to stop this matter. It was logical. Also, at that time, there were Falun Dafa practitioners from all over the world, tens of thousands of Falun Dafa practitioners suing Jiang Zemin in the Supreme Court and the Supreme Procuratoriate for the persecution. Their legal complaints mentioned live organ harvesting, and World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong had also sent materials to them. Therefore, the reason why we seized this opportunity to call and talk to Zhang Gaoli: 1. He knew about the issue. 2. He could speak under such circumstances. And during that time period, the topic of the phone conversation was also their most concerned topic. So at that time, we asked him about it. Now we're going to talk about the fact that the live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners is still ongoing. According to the results of investigation starting from January of 2016, first, the organ transplant volume in China is still very large. Most of the hospitals being investigated still have very short organ wait times and an ample supply of donor organs. Some hospitals can even provide emergency transplant operations, which are the so-called green channels. Second, the difficult situation of organ donation remains the same across China, with a limited number of organ donations. Third, doctors in some hospitals have even implied that Falun Gong practitioners' organs, which were used by them previously, are still available. Even worse, there is one 610 office official named Zhu Jiabin in Mudianjiang City, Heiliangjiang Province, and he is the head of the general department of this 610 office. He admitted in a high-profile way that he had live organ harvested Falun Gong practitioner Gao Yishi, and he had also said that he had sold Gao's organs. Investigative subject: Zhu Jiabin, head of the general department of the CCP's 610 office in Mudianjiang City, Heiliangjiang Province. Date: June 21st, 2016.
你把人器官摘完了，那就没事了。朱家斌呐，
卖了
啊？
都卖了，
卖了都可以了，你就说的这么轻巧啊？那高一喜要是你的亲兄弟，你也这样说话吗？朱家斌呐，
那他不是人的玩意儿，怎么就秃噜了？太阳破肚就摘了就卖了呗。
你们参与活摘高一喜器官，你还这样说话，你良心没有啦？你的良心何在呀？
有啊。
啊！你迫害好人，你把人家器官卖了，你还这样说话？
不是，我刚才跟你说了，你现在要有胆量啊，站在我面前，我一样把你活摘了。
我跟你说啊，
老子外号叫屠夫。
我跟你说啊，你还有人性吗？你还是人吗？
下回给我打电话，别叫我名，我改名了，我现在叫屠夫。
We all heard the recording. Gao Yishi, an innocent and kind-hearted Chinese citizen, was live organ harvested and murdered due to his faith in truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, and his practice of Falun Dafa. His murderer is a government official, and he even admitted in a high-profile way to having live organ harvested Gao Yishi and to having sold his organs. This is the lawless, overt conduct of the CCP's 610 office systems officials, who have no conscience or humanity. This is also an epitome of the CCP's evil nature. It can be said that the CCP is the most evil criminal group in the history of mankind. Next, I'll talk about the fact that live organ harvesting has spread to a broader scope. For instance, in 2013, a 6-year-old boy in Shanxi province had both of his eyes brutally scooped out. His name is Bin Bin. His corneas were stolen. When he later woke up, the first sentence he uttered was, "How come the dawn still doesn't break?" It was called the most heartbreaking remark in 2013 by Chinese people. Also, according to a report published on August 31, 2009 in mainland China, a homeless man's organs were harvested. The third affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University was one of the entities being suspected of involvement. Not too long ago, on November 22, 2016, a TV station in France reported that a Christian man named Peng Ming had been secretly live organ harvested by the CCP. Also, not too long ago, on December 6, 2016, the CCP's suspect kill-on-demand case of Ni Shibin was reported. This innocent young man was sentenced to death, and his organs were harvested, and he had been wronged for 21 years. 21 years without justice. His family had been under such burden and pressure for a long time, for no reason. In the end, the CCP only declared him innocent. Think about it, everyone. What has the Chinese society become? Today, the CCP is not live organ harvesting only from Falun Gong practitioners, but also from a broader range of people, including children, youth, and Christians. The CCP has turned humans into devils and the Chinese society into hell. Living in such a society, who can remain safe? Please think again. The live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners and from others is the extension of the CCP's history of slaughtering people. Let's recall that since the CCP came to China, especially after it established its regime on October 1, 1949, haven't all of its many campaigns been movements to murder people? According to its own official records, more than 80 million people have perished unnaturally, with the total number exceeding the combined death toll of both world wars. For instance, during its suppression of the counter-revolutionaries in 1949 and the land reform movement in 1950, more than 5 million people were killed. In the subsequent 3 anti-campaign, 5 anti-campaign, over 340,000 people were slaughtered. Furthermore, the Cultural Revolution not only destroyed the traditional Chinese culture, but also murdered more than 2 million Chinese people. An enormous number of people were killed, and tens of thousands of families were destroyed. Someone once commented that more than half of the Chinese people have suffered from the Communist Party's persecution. Also, there were students who were crushed by tanks on Tiananmen Square after their demonstrations on June 4, 1989. It was said that over 10,000 people perished on the Tiananmen Square during this massacre. Today, I can put it this way. What the Chinese Communist Party has done is extremely similar to what the Nazis had done during the Holocaust. However, the CCP's evilness is far beyond that of the Nazis. If humankind still does not face it, then the world civilization will become completely destroyed. This is devastating, and it's a devastating persecution against the morals and conscience of mankind. Now I will talk to you about the condemnation of the CCP's live organ harvesting by countries around the world. First, the U.S. House of Representatives passed House Resolution number 343 on June 13, 2016. House Resolution number 343 includes 3 important parts. The first part is that the U.S. government publicly acknowledged for the first time that they knew about the CCP's crime of live organ harvesting against Falun Gong practitioners. The second is that the number of people perished due to organ harvesting is very large. The third is that the live organ harvesting is a state crime. Second, the European Parliament passed Written Declaration 0048, an urgent motion to stop the CCP's crime of live organ harvesting. Third, the United Nations Committee Against Torture called for the investigation of allegations of live organ harvesting by the CCP. This is a report published in December 2015. Australia also raised the issue of forced organ harvesting through its human rights dialogue with China. The Human Rights Commission of the Italian Senate also passed a resolution. Facing the CCP's crime against humanity, what else can we do? World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong has the following suggestions. First, to conduct in-depth investigations into the CCP's crime against humanity. Second, to implement the universal jurisdiction of the Rome Convention on Crimes Against Humanity, and to launch judicial investigation procedures on the Chinese doctors, policemen, and others who are suspected of having participated in live organ harvesting. Third, to set laws to prohibit organizations and individuals from providing mainland China with training in organ transplant technologies, and to prohibit foreign citizens from traveling to China for organ transplants and becoming accomplices in such crimes. Fourth, relay the truth about the mass live organ harvesting against Falun Gong practitioners to your families, relatives, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and strangers that you meet. Let's spread the truth to the entire world and join hands together to stop the crime against humanity. Fifth, to track and collect the names and evidence of the alleged perpetrators in the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong practitioners, and to report them to the World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong. Let us work together to prepare for the grand trial in history. Sixth, being associated with the CCP, who's against humanity, is a shame of historical magnitude. For the Chinese people who haven't quit the CCP, you should withdraw from the CCP, restore your humanity, and become persons of dignity. These are world organizations to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong's 6 suggestions. World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong is issuing an appeal that a crime similar to that of the Nazis, but is far more evil, has reappeared in 1999, and it has been continuing up to this day. Human civilization is facing the challenge of destruction. The persecution of Falun Gong is a crime of genocide and a crime against humanity. In particular, the live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners is a state crime initiated by Jiang Zemin and led by the CCP. All participants must be held accountable for their crimes. All countries, organizations, and individuals involved in the persecution will be severely punished by moral sanctions and by law. To comprehensively investigate and stop the CCP's crime against humanity is the responsibility and honor of every country, organization, and individual on this planet. World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong is investigating all organizations and individuals involved in the persecution of Falun Gong. We will bring such investigations, no matter how long it takes, no matter how far and deep we have to search, to full closure. This is our commitment to the international community. We will never give up.